President Trump and the head of the CDC are at odds over several topics related to the pandemic. Now, the president sounded off after Dr. Robert Redfield told lawmakers about the importance of wearing a mask.
Face masks, these face masks are the most important, powerful public health tool we have.
Number one, is not more effective by any means than a vaccine.
Well, the president also says the CDC director was wrong when he told lawmakers that a vaccine won't be available until next year. So joining us now to discuss this is our political insider, Armstrong Williams. Armstrong, great to have you here this morning. Now, this is not the first time the president has contradicted doctors and scientists in his own administration handling this pandemic. The president is not a scientist. Who do we trust here? Why is he doing this?
Well, listen. Dr. Redfield made this outrageous comment yesterday that masks are more protective than the vaccine itself, and he had to backtrack it. He said to the president and to his others that he was a little confused. He meant to say that the mask worked best right now until we find a vaccine. I mean, come on, Adrianna. There are contradictions all over the world. Nobody in their right mind believes that masks are cure-all, because if you're wearing your mask now, you may protect others from getting the virus from you, but you can't protect yourself from getting the virus from them. And there have been so many contradictions on the mask. So on the issue of masks, we don't know who to believe. Actually, no one knows who to believe. And many people don't even trust the mask. They feel suffocated. They feel isolated. It's one thing to wear the mask in restaurants. We agree. It's one thing to wear masks in the classroom, but to advise to wear masks out in the open public when you don't have people around and there's no need for social distancing. I mean, come on. That is still up for debate whether the mask works or not. In terms of the president contradicting Dr. Redfield regarding whether the virus is going to be ready now or whether it's going to be sometime in 20 whatever that year is, it's up for debate, because I think what the president is saying, while it's going to be ready for first-time responders before the election, the president is trying to be optimistic and say, well, maybe it can also be ready for a much broader spectrum of the American public. We don't know that yet or not. I think the president is trying to be optimistic about this, but we just have to wait and see in 2021. But I think it's somewhere between what Dr. Redfield is saying and what the president is saying. But still, vaccines take time. Americans should not get themselves worked up that it's going to be anytime soon. But still, you and I both know, Adrianna, the president is going to always spin it to best. He wants to do everything he can to make people believe that he's trying to make this happen before the November election. Of course, there's a little politics involved, but in terms of who we should believe, we still don't know who we can believe and who we can trust, because it continues to change.
Okay. Okay. We're hearing more details about the clearing of the Lafayette Square back in June. Army National Guard Major Adam DeMarco says that federal officials were considering thousands of rounds of ammunition ahead of time. They were gathering that. If this is true, what kind of precedent does this set for protest in the future?
I tell you, Adrianna, I hope my response doesn't disappoint you. When you look at what is going on in Portland and Seattle and other places, and how some of these protesters have been brutalized, vandalized, and people are being killed, police officers are being shot in the face. I mean, it's so out of hand now. Fortunately, it did not rise to this level in Washington, D.C., and I think we have to give Mayor Bowser and her administration a lot of credit for this. They knew exactly what they were doing. And there were, during that time of the protest, I don't know if you remember, there were some who said they felt like their faces were burning. Now, the person that went rogue who testified yesterday is sort of contradicting what the Park Police and other administrative officials are saying. They said, yeah, while we may have had this in our arsenal, it was used in a very limited way and definitely not used to the full throttle of what it could do. So obviously they had it in the arsenal, but they had no idea what they were going to expect. I mean, look at what happened in D.C. on that night. I mean, the Apple store and Georgetown, those stores were looted and vandalized. And so when you're facing these protesters, the majority of them who are peaceful, you do have people who are outsiders who had no intentions of having any kind of concern for George Floyd or anybody else. They're here to bring about destruction. You have to keep that in mind. How far are they willing to go? And you have to be prepared for it. Whether you use it or not is a different story.
All right, Armstrong Williams, thank you for your time this morning. You can watch the Armstrong Williams Show every Saturday morning at 10:30 here on WJLA 24/7 News. After the break, John Gonzalez joins us for Food Bank Friday. Stay with us.